Hello friends, and welcome back to the Mothership. Today we are going to be smoking up our very own chicken yakitori skewers. Let's get started. Now probably the most time consuming and important part of these yakitori skewers is the sauce, or tare. To make ours, we're going to go with a half a cup of soy sauce, a half a cup of mirin, which is basically sweetened sake, and you can find it pretty much in any grocery store. A quarter cup of sake, 2 tablespoons of brown sugar, roughly chopped up ginger, a whole bunch of garlic, and a little bit of the green of a scallion. Now what I'm going to do is bring this to a boil. Now of course, because I took it off the burner, it stopped bubbling, but we are at a boil right now. So what I'm going to do is reduce the heat and let it simmer for like 20 to 30 minutes. The goal here is for the amount of liquid to reduce in half. Okay. This has been reduced by about half. Now I know it still looks nice and liquidy, but it's very hot. Trust me, when you let it cool off, it is going to reduce. What I want to do now is take a third of it and put it aside separately. Because what we're going to do is we're going to let it sit out, cool off, and then I'm going to take the majority of it and we're going to be brushing it onto the raw chicken. We're going to take the reserved 1/3 and use that to put it on at the very end. Obviously we don't want contamination, so we're going to keep them separate. So at this point, just put it somewhere on a counter, cover it, let it cool off completely down to room temperature. It'll thicken up significantly, and then we'll move ahead with actually getting it onto our chicken. This is a whole bunch of green onions. What I want to do is I want to cut off the very bottom and then cut about 1-inch pieces going up until I get to a point where they're too thin for me to be able to actually skewer into them. Because what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the chicken, put a green onion, chicken, green onion, and go all the way up like that. So these are essentially, this is about the point where I can't actually cut these any further. Use those for something else, but these will be used to go in between my chicken pieces. These look about good. I think it's time to cut up our chicken. These are about 2 pounds of boneless, skinless chicken thighs. In general, I buy them with bone in, but you know what? These are on sale, so I'm not going to pass up doing less work. What I want to do here is first trim off any of this excess gross fat that isn't going to really cook well. And anything that's just kind of funky hanging off that I don't really want to eat. If you had skin on your chicken wings, you want to take them off, on your chicken thighs. Obviously, you want to take out the bone if you have bone in. It's not too difficult. I have several videos where I've done bone in thighs and showed you how to trim them up. It's really easy. Just cut along the bone, pull it off. And then always check to make sure that your butcher got everything. This one they missed a little bit of hard cartilage that I don't want to eat. I'm going a little bit heavy-handed on these suckers because it is a weeknight and I'd like to eat today. Now before we start cutting these to the right size, it's a good time to take your bamboo skewers if you're using bamboo and to soak them in water. I usually soak them for at least half an hour just to make sure that nothing starts burning. If you're using metal, obviously that's not necessary. But what I want to do here is I want to take about a 2-inch by 1-inch square. So something like this. Because what I'm going to do is I'm going to put on the skewer into kind of a U shape like that. I'm going to go right through there, scallion, right through there. So I'm going to try and cut all of them into these like rectangular shapes. You could do them in just little squares, but I think the rectangle adds a little bit of texture, which makes them kind of more fun to eat. Doesn't matter if they're perfect, like this one obviously is a little funky looking, that's perfectly fine. But I'm looking for about that size. So in general, it kind of comes down to you take a chicken thigh, and I usually just go not all the way widthwise, I just go lengthwise a couple times to get a couple of cuts, and that should be good. Now the last thing that I do here is just give it a little bit of salt. We don't need to go crazy because we are going to be brushing down a sauce that has a decent amount of soy in it, which soy is usually very salty. But I just want to give it a little bit of salt, and I'll probably give it just a little bit of black pepper. And then I'm going to put these back in the fridge while I wait for my bamboo skewers to get at least 30 minutes in that water. Then we're going to assemble everything together. And now let's get these skewers together. What we're going to do, like I said, we're going to take chicken, we're going to put it in half like so. Then I'm going to take one of our green onions, skewer it like that. and then put another piece of chicken on, and then continue all the way until we're completely filled up. I think that's enough for one, because I do need space on either side for it to sit on the brick. So I'm just going to fill all these up. Now what I want to do before they go on is I want to coat them all with our sauce. All nice and coated on there. This is going to be the beginning of our glaze, and we're going to add it on a couple of times, but we want to get the first coat to be nice and heavy duty. That's a good first coat. What you want to do is get your grill up to medium high temp. You can turn your broiler on, or you can use your smoker like I'm doing. Just get it really high temp. Mine's going to about 450 right now. Now you could obviously do these skewers right on a grill, charcoal, propane, or even in your broiler. I'm going to do them on the smoker just to see if I can get a little bit of smoke flavor, even though I'm going to be running them at a really high temperature. But I figured what I'm going to do is lay 2 bricks here and put the skewers kind of in between them so that they're up off of the grill grates and they're getting a nice amount of radiant heat. Our little chickens are on at 450 degrees. I'm looking for maybe 10 minutes before I flip them and baste them. Unfortunately, this guy didn't make the cut, so he's kind of my test case, but these 4 should be great. Let's let it do its thing. Guys, before I get to the taste test part of this, if you could do me a favor, hit that subscription button down below, like, comment, all that jazz. It makes me feel all warm and fuzzy inside, and it lets you guys know when I have new videos coming out so you can be the first to get on my new cooks. Alright, so yakitori chicken is essentially just chicken on a skewer with a certain type of sauce. Apparently they're really popular at bars in Japan. It's a street food. It's kind of like chicken wings. You can find them every bar here. So I've been told. I've had these at some restaurants in my area and they are absolutely fantastic. I wanted to recreate them for a nice weekday cook. They're pretty easy to make. The longest part is really just putting together your Tare sauce, which really just needs to cool off, so it's not too bad. All that being said, it's time to give it the old-fashioned chomp. That sauce is so good. Chicken thighs, they're what you expect them to be. Nice green onion is great, but the sauce is really what brings it all together. It's not like a teriyaki where it's super overly flavorful. You can definitely taste the mirin and the sake. It adds a little more sweetness to it. It's really good. This is such an easy cook. This might become one of my weekday staples, guys. You should absolutely give it a try. Put this sauce on some chicken, barbecue it up. Trust me, you'll like it. As far as plating this, when we actually eat it, I have some rice and I put some bok choy in there and a little bit of soy sauce, so I'm cooking it together with the bok choy. I think that'll be a good kind of flavor to go with this Japanese profile. As always, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you got something out of it, and I hope you recreate it at home. Let me know what you're cooking down below, and as always, cook something fantastic, guys.